Why don't
There will be direction of the poll.
My lord,
Why don't you countermand the election and conduct a repoll?
Poll.
my lord,
Automatic consequence.
If this is the position,
my lord,
repoll be conducted. This is one of the incident where the presiding officer at least came up to say that he was forced to make this type of statement in the presiding officer's diary,
my lord,
and the panchayat returning officer simply doesn't have any knowledge of the same.
my lord.
What were the police officers doing over there? They
What-
did not know anything. Had this presiding officer not come forward with the truth, what would have happened?
I am for the state, my lord. Lord, I have got the two affidavit by the presiding officer, by the presiding officer as well as the returning officer, my lord. But it also,
Copy now served.
my lord, it will be served now.
Very well. Affidavit on behalf,
Nasimata?
affidavit of the panchayat returning officer and the affidavit of the presiding officer filed in court today are taken on record. Copy of the same handed over to the learned
My lord,
advocate
there was a
representing
direction to, my lord,
petitioners in court today.
the personal presence of the, my lord, the returning officer as well as the, my lord, the presiding officer, they are present.
What was the requirement of the personal presence?
My lord,
The
my lord,
CCTV
my lord, my lord directed, my lord.
Yes.
We had produced the ballot papers. That needs to be identified. Last occasion they have identified
Yes.
portion. And the CCTV, which is actually required on the day of poll, that they have failed to produce on the last occasion. They are to produce that CCTV. But we have no grievance so far the counting day is concerned, because our case is
Why it is mentioned the unedited CCTV camera footage is submitted?
of the counting day.
Counting day?
Counting.
That they have submitted.
Yes.
But we have no grievance over the counting day is concerned, because there was no poll at all, according to us. On the day of poll, entire election was become first. There was a hurling of bomb, firing, everything was done. After 12
Yes,
months,
my
there was
lord,
nobody.
the presiding officer has
in the blood.
admitted that there was booth capturing by both the parties.
Both the
TMC and
That's why
the ballots have been recovered
and that's why
from there.
CCTV footage is required.
Some ballots have been recovered from there, and both the party they captured the booth from 12 to up to 5.
They say so,
And
then the
all
repoll is
mobiles-
required.
All the mobiles were snatched away. That is the report of the presiding officer.
Then why don't
There will
you
be direction of the poll.
My lord,
why don't you countermand the election and conduct a repoll?
my lord,
Automatic consequence.
If this is the position,
my lord,
repoll be conducted.
my lord,
And the concerned officers.
my lord,
Yes, sir.
1 minute. Where have you mentioned that in the affidavit?
my lord, the presiding officer.
Presiding officer's affidavit?
And in this case, presiding officer is represented by state. That is also indicated.
Yes.
It is stated.
সবগুলোতেই তো আমরা
Sorry.
কোথায় লিখেছেন?
লেখা আছে? Well, paragraph 8, my lord. Paragraph 7 also, my lord.
7 also I see. From 7 it starts.
7 it starts.
Well, let me file a short
No.
affidavit to this.
No, not at all. Let the commission take a call for repoll.
Let that be let. But there are other issues that has to be decided with this court.
You want a repoll?
I
If the
want-
commission.
One of the prayer is report.
What else do you want?
The erring officers. That's to be decided by this court.
Who is the erring officer?
But that I have to go through the affidavits and I'll come back
You come
within
back.
3 days.
It's taken on record. বললাম তো? It's been handed over to the learned advocate of the petitioner in court today. এবার লিখুন, from the report of the presiding officer, it is evident that there was huge scale violence and disruption on the day of the poll. Stop. Next. The CCTV cameras, which were installed in the polling station, were damaged and taken away. The ballot papers were snatched from the custody of the presiding officer, and the mob who forcibly entered into the polling station started casting votes openly as per their preference. The mob was arrogant and they dictated the presiding officer to act in according to their terms. The presiding officer, due to threat of life, could not resist the resist the illegal activities of the mob. The presiding officer and his team had no ways to contact the sector officer, sector police, or the panchayat returning officer to communicate about the incident, which continued from around 12:30 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Exactly what I realized.
Actual fact.
During the entire period, the presiding officer and his team were forcibly closed in the polling station with no control of the polling station. And the polling station was under absolute control of the unruly miscreants. Stop. The mobile phone of the presiding officer was also snatched away. Stop. Paragraph. In the absence of proper support from the police and the administration, the presiding officer could not report the incident either to the panchayat returning officer or the police personnel for fear of life. Paragraph. At the end of the poll, the miscreants forced the presiding officer and the polling officers to complete all the voting formalities and sealed the ballot boxes and other papers and furnished the ballot papers account in Form 18 and forced the presiding officer to mention in the diary that the election was free and fair. Stop. The presiding officer was threatened with dire consequences if he disclosed the incident to anybody. Paragraph. The presiding officer has mentioned in the affidavit that he is posted in the Kendriya Vidyalaya as primary teacher since 22nd of September 2022.
Twenty second September.
Acha, 28th September 2022. Please make the necessary correction.
My lord.
Presiding officer.
Having been transferred from the Kendriya Vidyalaya, Kant, Kanpur, and there has never been any stigma with regard to his performing of duties as teacher. Stop. This is the first time that he has been engaged on election duty, and he duly attended the training conducted by the commission. Stop. Next paragraph. From the affidavit filed by the presiding officer, it is crystal clear that the polling which took place was not in accordance with the rules and regulations. Stop. In fact, poll could not take place on the day on and from 12:30 p.m. onwards. Stop. Next. The presiding officer has mentioned that due to threat of life, the incident could not be reported to the police station. Stop. Next. Paragraph. It is only after the writ petition was filed and an affidavit called for from the presiding officer, the aforesaid incident has come to light. Stop. The presiding officer has himself averred on oath that the recording in the presiding officer's diary was obtained by force, and as such, no reliance can be placed on the same. Stop. Next paragraph. Incidents narrated herein above are required to be reviewed by the commission for taking a call with regard to repoll to be conducted at the in respect of the said constituency. Stop. Next. The commission is accordingly directed to take a decision in the matter at the earliest, but positively by 8th September 2023. List on 12th September.
Yes.
A report shall be filed by the commission on the adjourned date. Stop. The presence of the presiding officer.
As well as the returning officer.
What steps did the returning officer do? What does his
Nothing, my lord.
nothing?
Returning officer, my lord, he was not intimated. And what he has been,
Not be intimated rather.
my lord, and the presiding officers, my lord, the returning officers, what he has obtained from the my lord record, he has submitted that.
I shall not file an affidavit to that.
The presence of the presiding officer and the returning officer stands dispensed with for the time being. What is the exception to be filed?
Let me see.
What? What
Whoever involved in these activities and the vis-a-vis the duty and responsibility of the officers needs to be examined. That is my first prayer in the writ petition.
Officers means the panchayat returning
All
officer.
officers involved in the process, including police officers.
1 minute. Mr. Mahato, tell me one thing.
My lord.
This is one of the incident where the presiding officer at least came up to say that he was forced to make this type of statement in the presiding officer's diary,
My lord.
and the panchayat returning officer simply doesn't have any knowledge of the same.
My lord. No intimation was given to
No intimation. Out of fear of threat of life, he could not do this.
my lord.
Right. What were the police officers doing over there? Was the police officer present in the spot? There was a direction of the Chief Justice,
My lord,
also of the Commission, that all the polling stations should be manned by police officers. CAPF apart. Right. What was the police doing? They
What-
did not know anything. Had this presiding officer not come forward with the truth, what would have happened? How could the petitioners substantiate the allegations which are coming up? You've seen, you are appearing in most of the matters.
my lord.
How do they substantiate this?
My lord, they have.
CCTV cameras you have seen?
Yes,
are
CCTV damage. My lord, the presiding officer has submitted that. My lord,
In this case, he has submitted, it was taken away. And in most of the cases, the returning officers are coming and saying that the CCTV cameras have been snatched, they have been taken away, they are missing, diaries lodged. Nothing is the outcome of it.
Now,
Why
my
is
lord,
it so?
my lord, the returning officer, my lord, he is controlling so many booths, and if no information does not come to him, he has nothing to do, and he is go or everything, my lord, on the basis of the, my lord, the poll materials what was submitted in the strong room.
You have seen allegations are coming that the presiding officers and also the returning officers, they are forced to sign at the very first instance.
Presiding officer, not
Others,
the returning officer, presiding officer.
in other matters, not in this matter, there are matters where the authorities, these officers, they are forced to sign even prior to the completion of the process, so that at the end of the process they cannot say, see, there was no signature. How do you get rid of this? And being a state, your officers have to take into consideration all these facts.
My lord, particularly in this fact, my lord, I said that, my lord, it is the report, it is the only
Poll is the
option.
remedy for
option.
me.
It is the
And-
only option. Only
Very well. And what about action against the miscreants who were
my
responsible?
lord, miscreants, my lord, it appears from the affidavit,
Both.
both
Very
parties,
well.
because there has been, my lord, the booth capturing, stamping, and some of the ballots have been in the
Found
custody
from the custody of the
for
petitioners.
petitioners also.
Yes. So it appears that till date, no police complaint has been lodged.
Complaint has been lodged, but the presiding officer did not, my lord, he dared to complain. I have talked with him because at that time, mobile phone was snatched, and he
Yes,
said,
that has been mentioned.
that at that time his family members came from Kanpur to here. His wife also is an employee, and he said that your family members will be finished.
He is a poor man who's being used but to shield the video. I'll submit one on the next occasion. But in the first time, I'm saying that the presiding officer is represented by the state only to shield the video because of last order passed by your lordship.
Very well. Let us see. The matter is urgent. If you want to file affidavit, you file. Let us see if the video is in fault. Steps will be taken against him.
Not only the miscreants who are aided those miscreants. That needs to be gone into.
Very well. We will see. First, let a decision of repoll be taken.
Yes.
My lord.
Then, whatever is to be done will be done.